It's 3 p.m. in Moscow, Russia, where the opening ceremony of the 2018 World Cup will be starting shortly. And here in Accra, Ghana, it's 12 p.m. Welcome to Midday Live. We're live from the news hub at Adesanwe in Kanda, Accra. My name is Solace Rose Porte. Top of the bulletin this afternoon. The National Association of Graduate Teachers warned National Teaching Council to immediately suspend implementation of teacher licensing or risk creating industrial unrest. Also this afternoon, road crashes claim 174 lives in the Ashanti region between January and May alone this year. Ministry of Communication announces telcos are now hooked on Kelny GVG platform despite earlier resistance. And on the international front, 2 stabbed in a South African mosque as Ramadan comes to a close. Don't forget that you can always get interactive with us via social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. We're also live on DSTV channel 279. Now, for what is trending pretty much around the entire world, and we're talking about the World Cup because the 2018 FIFA World Cup gets underway on Thursday afternoon. That's today, when host Russia faced Saudi Arabia following an opening ceremony at Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium. Football's showpiece event features 32 teams, including holders Germany, competing in 64 games over 32 days. The 21st edition will be played in 12 stadiums across 11 cities, spread over 1,800 miles. England, winners in 1966, are the only team from the home nations to qualify and start against Tunisia on 18th of June. Germany, who beat Argentina in the 2014 final, are looking to become the first team to win back-to-back World Cups since 1962, while Brazil seeks a record-extending 6th World Cup title. Now, the month-long tournament is expected to attract 1.5 million fans to Russia and an estimated global television audience of over 3 billion viewers. There are 8 groups, each containing 4 teams, with the top 2 advancing to the last 16. The final takes place at the 81,000 capacity Luzhniki Stadium on Sunday, the 15th of July. That also happens to be the stadium where the first opening match will also be taking place. And of course, I've been joined in the studio by one of our sports journalists here at Media General TV3, 3FM on your FM, Yao Ofosulabi. We'll be picking the thoughts of the opening day of football's biggest ceremony in the entire world. We've been waiting for this day, and it's finally here. Ghana is not part, but there seems to still be a bit of enthusiasm towards the World Cup. What are we expecting for the opening day?
Well, the opening day expects to be exciting, just as every other opening day. Some of the memories in 1994 when Diana Ross performed at the opening ceremony, it was a massive event really. In 1998, several other musicians have come through in the opening ceremony. And today at 2 p.m., that's our time, GMT, we should expect to see the opening ceremony on our screens. And it should bring out that buzz that we already want to see about every opening ceremony. Now, Robbie Williams, who is the English singer, the man who was part of that pop group in 1985, is the man who will be doing the major singing event at the opening ceremony later today. And also Russian singer Aidan Garifulina will also do the national anthem for Russia. And they are the 2 main stars who will be performing later today when the opening ceremony starts. All
right, now the first match that we're all anticipating, Russia versus Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia having been, taken there by, a Dutch coach who just, left them there after he was done. Yeah. What are we to expect for from the Saudi side and then the Russian side, who probably are looking at a host and win?
Well, it's not exactly an opening game we would want to see. Russia, Saudi Arabia is not a very tasty game, and I must say Russia, one of the lowest ranked home nations in a very, very long time. And it will be one of those games where we would expect the home nation to win. Saudi Arabia, of course, have their coach, Juan Antonio Pizzi, who has said so much before the World Cup. The Saudi king has given them so much remuneration to be able to do that. If you look at the plane they came into Russia with, it tells you a bit of luxury about everything that the Saudis brought to Russia, really. But for the home nation, they will have that 12th man, the fans. They will be screaming their names, screaming and for them to win their first game. It's always nice when the home nation wins the first game. So really, Russia will be going all the way out for it. But it's only a case that they say in football anything can happen. So we should also count Saudi Arabia in there to pose some threats and create a surprise for us on the opening day.
Okay, so basically we are looking at a somewhat exciting match. We're hoping so that at least it will set the pace for a great tournament.
Exactly. I mean, that's what we are all expecting. I mean, all of the action starts tomorrow. All of the action starts tomorrow when Egypt takes on Uruguay at 12 p.m. tomorrow, and then other games will also come up. Morocco taking on Iran later. There's Portugal, Spain at 6 p.m. So those are the fixtures that everybody is eyeing. But today, Russia, Saudi Arabia is. I mean, it's a dire game. It could go anywhere. I mean, the pendulum could swing anywhere. So. We are just looking as football fans, as people who want the tournament to be exciting. We just hope Russia wins to set the pace and keep the ball rolling. Now,
very briefly before you go, our idea about the fans in Ghana and how they're perceiving the World Cup regarding the fact that we're not even part.
Yeah.
Which of the African teams do you think Ghanaians are probably going to support? Just briefly.
Well, yesterday I was on the streets of Osu doing a Vox Pop on it, and a lot of people mentioned Nigeria. I mean, they kept saying that if Ghana is not there, they think our senior brothers Nigeria are there, so there'll be a lot of support for Nigeria. But just a few for Egypt and also for Senegal. Nobody mentioned Morocco, nobody mentioned Tunisia. I mean, Ghanaians really do not care about those countries. But for Egypt and Nigeria and Senegal, they are the countries that every Ghanaian is rooting for at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much, Yao Ofosu-Labi, sports journalist here at Media General. And we're basically talking about the World Cup that will be kicking off this afternoon, so stay tuned. And let's move on to our major headline story, where the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, has called on the National Teaching Council, the NTC, to immediately suspend the implementation of the teacher licensing or risk creating industrial unrest. National President Angel Kabonu asked the NTC to convene negotiations and a consultation of the teacher licensing before the implementation.
Issues that the licensure exam is going to question students on have been inculcated in the general curriculum of the training institution. And yet, after the person finishes the core or main exam of the training institution, you want the student to pay another money, and they were quoting 220 Ghana cedis per person, to pay that amount of money before the person writes a licensure exam with content that is already embedded in the core content of the curriculum of the university or of the training institution. We see this as a ripoff. Absolutely not necessary. So these are issues that ought to be discussed and explained to the NTC. But the NTC is trying to go ahead without making sure that the teacher unions make their input, because they know the position of the teacher unions.
Now you met on 29th May.
29th May, we raised issues on the letter that went into the training institution, asking them to prepare the minds of the students for an exam. We raised issues that how come these letters were issued to the training institutions without consulting or notifying the teacher unions, a key stakeholder in this whole exercise. The executive secretary of the NTC apologized and indicated that going forward, we will engage in more consultation. And then at that meeting, the Director General was present. So the Director General requested from the NTC to give him the policy document. He will study the policy document and write a covering letter on the policy document to the teacher unions for the teacher unions to make inputs. That is how policies are formulated before implementation. What we are seeing now is somebody trying to upstage the exercise. Somebody in a hurry to push through something to boost his or her ego, we do not know. But we, the teacher unions, are not going to stand for it. We will not allow anybody or any institution to fleece an overburdened teacher in this country.
All right, so now for those of you who might be wondering where this issue of teacher licensing came from, now this is actually in accordance with the Education Act 2008, that's Act 778. This basically looks at licensing, regulating teachers and their practice of, their profession to make sure that they abide by certain rules and regulations, and then so we can have a thorough screening of the type of teachers that are unleashed onto our various schools. Also, the fees to be charged is 220 Ghana cedis to be part of this, and then the start date is supposed to be July 2018. But it's not as simple as this, because there's been serious agitation from different camps regarding this licensing, and the various questions are being asked, and we'll probably try to have some of them answered by Peter Partey. He is the executive director of the Institute of Education Studies, and he joins us via Skype. Good afternoon, Peter. Many thanks for joining us on Midday Live. All right, we're having some brief technical challenges, but we'll be getting Peter on the phone lines to basically find out exactly what his outfit has to do with or thinks about the issue of the licensing and the impasse that seems to be continuing. Now let's talk to the president of the Teacher Trainees Association. Now he is Jonathan Apam, and he joins us on the phone lines. Good afternoon, Jonathan. Many thanks for joining us on Midday Live.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners, and thank you for having me.
All right. Now your outfit seems to be in like the middle of the issues that are popping up. Are you going to obey the orders of NAGRAT and boycott the exam, or are you sticking with the NTC?
Well, thank you so much. You really said the true story, that we stand in the middle of the teacher unions and National Teaching Council. All this while, I think we've been asking a lot of questions, and our members have been asking a lot of questions pertaining the exams, the fees, and so on and so forth. But I think that it is not, the issue is not about we obeying not perspective or going against what NTC is saying. But I think that NAGRAT and the other teacher unions are calling for NTC to present the documentation, to sit with the stakeholders and discuss the issue properly, and then agree on a particular thing that would at least, even if not favor all the stakeholders, will at least involve all the suggestions that all stakeholders are talking about. So I think that it is not about boycotting of the exams, but it's about NAGRAT and other teacher unions calling NTC to bring out documentation and also involve all the teacher unions, and I think all stakeholders involved, plus the Ministry of Education, to be able to discuss concretely and come out with an agreement on the said issue. But so I think it's not about we boycotting the exams, but the negotiations being done properly, including the stakeholders involved.
Now, you seem, what exactly is the issue that your association has with the licensing? If you can give us a few of them.
I think over the days we've cried out loud that we do not have any problem with the license itself, but you know the processes that are involved in the licensure issuance to the students. I mean the teachers who are upcoming. You know the fact is that we are looking at teacher development. We are looking at the fact that teachers should develop themselves to a standard, and that is why the licensing is coming in by the Act 778. And so the view of the members of mine association is that if we are going to look at the proficiency of the teachers who are upcoming, then they think that registering them on exams and letting them write exams and pass alone will not be a standard to assess the person's proficiency. Rather, going through the induction period, going through some mandatory training, going through some inserts, and recording them down and submitting to NTC, that is where NTC can really evaluate that the teacher has the idea of developing him or herself. The teacher is really working out for what he deserves to do in a profession. So it is not about we having any issue with the license, but the members of the association have a problem with the test, I mean the exam itself, why paper exams should be given, and as such that even the paper exams alone cannot even qualify them for the full license, but a provisional license. So the thought is that why not letting them go into the field, practice, then you assess them based on what they are practicing. Now, then you can attest to the fact that they are willing or they are capable of what? Teaching.
Now, Jonathan, finally, before I let you go, will your outfit take the exams? Are you taking it in July?
We are waiting on what the NTC will respond to what the teacher unions have said. Okay. Now, the teacher unions have said that these are documentation that has to come out. These are the processes that has to pass through. And I think NTC have been told of this and they are aware of what has happened from the perspective of the teacher union.
Okay, so until that happens, you're not going to write it. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry?
Until that happens, until the conditions that you're talking about are enforced.
I think even NTC right now is not set with everything. So until everything is set, we are not even certain on whether we are writing it because date is not set, questions are not set. We do not know exactly when we are going to write and all that stuff. So I think that after the discussion, that is where we can come out clearly to say that after the discussion we are satisfied with it or we are unsatisfied.
All right, Jonathan Apam is the president of the Teacher Trainees Association, and we're speaking to him on the association's position on what NAGRAT is saying about wanting the implementation of the teacher licensing to be put on hold whilst some consultations are done. And for those of you who don't know exactly what is going on, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, has called on the National Teaching Council, the NTC, to immediately suspend the implementation of the teacher licensing or risk creating industrial unrest. The national president, Angel Kabonu, asked the NTC to convene negotiations and consultation of the teacher licensing before the implementation. Now, I've been joined via Skype by Peter Pate Enti. He is the executive director of the Institute of Education Studies, and he will be picking his thoughts. Good afternoon, Peter. Many thanks for joining us on Midday Live. Good afternoon, Peter. All right, we will still be looking at this issue probably in our subsequent bulletins or probably later during this bulletin, but it is an important issue and we'll definitely be taking a closer look at it. After all, it is regarding our educational system. So away from that, on to our MTN video report for this afternoon. Our citizen journalist, Say Abdul Amir, highlights the poor state of the Bimbila Road.
It's a road that links Bimbila to other communities such as Jilo, Kukuo, and Chichai. It is very unfortunate that the bridge that is on the road was destroyed by a heavy rainstorm last year. But since then, the government and the authorities in the district haven't taken any action against it. There is a path that is created for the people to take. When it is flooded, where are they going to pass? We are calling on the government and the authority to help us in constructing this bridge. This is Say Abdul Amir reporting for TV3, Bimbila.
Well, don't forget that you can also send your video report via WhatsApp number 0551 433 044 0551 433 044. Midday Live continues shortly after this. Do stay. Welcome back to Midday Live. My name is Solis Rose Quarter. Now, let's stay on the issue regarding the impasse between, or the seeming impasse between the National Association of Graduate Teachers and the NTC. And while the NAGRAT is calling on the NTC to immediately suspend the implementation of the teaching, or rather teacher licensing, or risk creating industrial unrest, the national president, Angel Kabonu, has asked the NTC to convene negotiations and consultation of the teacher licensing before for the implementation. Now, we've been joined on the phone lines by Peter Pate Enti. He is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies. Good afternoon, sir. Many thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
All right. Now, the issue regarding the teacher licensing has been ongoing for some time. Do you think the National Teaching Council has handled the policy well?
Thank you very much. In the first place, let me put on record that the Institute for Education Studies is against the modalities that have been laid out by the National Teaching Council to licensed teachers in Ghana. Okay. Of course, we agree with them that they have the mandate backed by law to do what they are doing. But we think that in order that this would be beneficial to all the stakeholders, a lot of stakeholder consultation needed to have done. But then you look at the press release that have been given out by the NAGRAT, you would notice that the kind of stakeholder consultation we thought would have gone through what we have spoke about since last year, that this is something that should be moved and owned by the teachers, has not been done. And that is why we think that the NCC is at fault. Although we support that they should be able to regulate and professionalize teaching in Ghana, we think that the way and the mode that they are going would not help in achieving that particular mandate.
Now, NAGRAT has so far, urged the teacher trainees not to, adhere to what the NTC is saying. Do you think that NAGRAT is taking the right approach?
You see, we have been doing back and forth with this particular policy, and despite the challenges that we are having in terms of the implementation and other things, we think that the teaching profession needs to be regularized and be more professional in Ghana. You see the accounting professional organization, you see the nurses that go through the professional process and all those things. So it is time that the teaching profession also goes through this particular thing. So the approach adopted by NAGRAT is also not entirely correct. What we think they should do is that they should push for more consultation. If it is the amount of money involved that they think is too much for the student teachers, we think that they can push the government takes a portion of that particular amount of money, and then the teachers will also pay a part of it. But to say that they should not undertake in this professional exercise will be something that will not help in the professional development of the particular profession that we all belong to.
Now, what would you say to the teacher trainees who seem to be caught in the middle of this whole situation? What do you think their stance should be?
Their focus should be on getting themselves enrolled as professional teachers in Ghana. They should not think of adopting a standard they will not partake in any activity that is going to be undertaken by the NCC. Of course, because whatever the NCC is doing now, they are backed by law, and it is lawful. What we think they should do is that they should push a different angle of seeking for subsidy for the exams that they are supposed to write, of which we do not support. And let me put that on record that I first do not support the examination that has been added to the entire teacher professionalization system. We don't support. But NCC has got the mandate, so they should push for the subsidy in terms of the payment and find ways and means to work this through NAGRAT.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter Pate Enti. He is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies. Now let's move away from issues regarding education and move to the health sector, where the Minister of Health, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, says a committee has been set up to investigate the death of the 70-year-old man who was refused medical care at 7 hospitals in Accra. He also gave reasons why some health facilities are yet to be opened to the public. Now, still regarding the health sector, we're saying that the Minister for the sector, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, now is saying that a committee has been set up to investigate the death of the 70-year-old man who was refused medical care at 7 hospitals in Accra. Now, he also gave reasons why some of the health facilities are yet to be opened to the public. Now, this came on social media and it really spread, and it seems something that people are talking about, the no-bed syndrome. But let's hold on to that. We'll be getting back back to that particular story, let's move over to Kumasi, where road crashes have claimed 174 lives in the Ashanti region between January and May this year. The figure is a 39% increase on the fatalities recorded in the region within the same period last year. The Ashanti Regional Planning Officer of the National Road Safety Commission, Emmanuel Parry, has been speaking with our correspondent, Beatrice Biogabra.
In Ashanti region, between January and May 2018, 170 persons have died as a result of road crashes. I have with me here the Ashanti Regional Planning Officer of the National Road Safety Commission, Mr. Emmanuel Parry, whom will be discussing why we seem to still be recording increases in road crashes. Mr. Parry, why are we recording increases in road crashes despite a lot of education by the Commission?
Thank you very much. In the first place, the National Road Safety Commission and the major stakeholders are doing their best to reduce road traffic crash, but yet still the problem is still increasing. And what the National Road Safety Commission will now do is to this time evaluate all the policies that comes out and know the ones which are more effective, so that we gear all our resources towards that one to ensure a drastic reduction of the road traffic crashes.
Okay, when you say a more effective approach, what do you mean by a more effective approach? What you are doing now, would you say that is not a more effective an approach?
When you say something is effective, is when you are it is yielding a positive result. And now with the statistics, you can say that once it is increasing, then it's not a good story. So what we are doing, although we are doing our best, but we will do more so that we reduce the accident to the barest minimum.
Now let's go back to our earlier story where the Minister of Health, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, says a committee has been set to investigate the death of a 70-year-old man who was refused medical care at 7 hospitals in Accra. He also gave reasons why some health facilities are yet to be opened to the public.
In the meantime, we have set up a committee that is going around, looking at information, doing investigations for us to see what actually happened and what things that we shouldn't have done happened. And let us identify
the Mental Health Authority is likely to be closed down by June ending as the financial challenges it faces continue. The authority has been in the news for the past few weeks over lack of funds to support its operations, though government has made assurances that the situation will improve. It is yet to materialize. The Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Dr. Abusose, hints of a possible return to cash and carry
other health facilities. The Franco for example, and others that we have come across.
The mental health situation
to Ministry of Health
in terms of finances
Health Service
is that
they were done as a
now there in the sense that we are already in the middle of the year.
They were left
not had any financial releases by the ministry.
Right now, we are working on trying to find
supported all along by a donor
This was what we
partner,
just about last 2
and the support by the donor partner is coming to an end at the end of June.
put up the facilities.
And if it happens that way and you're not getting support from the ministry, it means you'll be forced to shut down because you can't operate without funding.
We're in the dark.
We cannot even keep our lights on. We cannot even get our cleaners to clean the place. We will be forced to shut down. On the part of psychiatric hospitals, they will also not be able to admit patients.
And that is why they have
in their case, not so much because of the donor funding being cut. Well, not currently, but the donor funding coming to an end.
We need equipment. We need
by the sense that they are also not getting the support,
we need to
the releases from the ministry. And they are actually running out of funds. They are only being supported by benevolent organizations,
some of them beginning having
and philanthropists and suppliers.
Like water, electricity,
and their benevolence is also going down. So if they don't have any funds, then it means they'll be forced either to return to cash and carry.
Muslims have been urged to continue following the words of the Holy Prophet
is the Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health
in order to
Authority.
foster personal and national growth. The chairman of the Ghana Muslim Mission, Sheikh Amin Bonsu, urged Muslim youth to desist from all forms of violence and unlawful acts during and after the festivities. Sheikh Amin Bonsu made this known during the Night of Blessings as Muslims prepare to end the fast.
يسمون الملائكة تسمية الأنثى وما لهم به من علم يتبعون إلا الظن وإن الظن لا يغني من
Laylatul Qadr and Hitikaf are special sessions of the Ramadan. Muslims pray day and night, and they believe that it is a time to draw closer to Allah. Of what significance are these prayers to the Muslims during the Ramadan? We find out. Muslim scholars believe the 27th day of Ramadan is a night Allah sends special angels with packs of blessings to solve problems, present the breath of unity and peace among the Muslim community. It is believed the night of power is significant to the fasting, hence the Laylatul Qadr and Hitkaf, which see to the day and night prayers and sanctification. Thus is to ensure total holiness in the last 10 days, particularly when it is uncertain which day the angels will descend.
The night Allah is more or less decreed everything for the year, and it is the night in which Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it is the night that all the angels descend to serve, and it is this night that if you worship, you don't sleep, and you're able to keep the night with all goodness. Inshallah, Allah accept your reward and give you a reward of 1,000 months.
In the latter part of the fast, both the young and the old engage actively in prayers. Women, after active participation in the fast, ensures there is enough food and drinks before and after the fast. The CEO of Ayman Scientific Herbal Hospital, Sheikh Amin Bunsu, said there are special blessings allotted for people who offer support for the needy during this season.
Not all of us are equal. Some are also in need, whereby if you leave them alone, they may not be able to feed themselves. Some are also, they also have, but for the unity and then the brotherliness and sisterness, and we help each other. And that is the main reason why we are also feeding ourselves.
We're still watching Midday Live. We'll be back shortly with some business news. To stay. Welcome back to Midday Live. It's now time for some business news, and we start off from the railway sector, where the Railways Development Minister Joe Garte has assured that his outfit will not relent in efforts against encroachment on the Accra and Swam rail lines, urging all to discourage further encroachment. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Roads and Transport, Samuel Ayi-Paye, is proposing the relocation of the Agbobulushi market in the Central Business District as a long-term solution to the encroachment in order to make way for the development of a modern rail system.
These structures, you see, last week it wasn't there. So if this week it is there and you keep it, by next week they built a story building. If we continue this way, there will come a time that encroachers will ask for compensation. If you just look back, somebody has a ranch or something of sheep and so on. How can we build in such circumstances? It should be obvious to you that now our greatest problem is human activity at certain places, and we have to deal with it. I haven't said I'm putting out structures. That is a job of the engineer who is working. If he thinks he can work with the structures, then he should continue working.
Advice that I'll give to the Ministry of Railway and also local government, and for that matter, AME, is to relocate Kantamanto and Agbobulushi. There's the need for relocation. Once the train is going to pass through Ajin, Kutuku, and Nsawam, there's the need for us to relocate Agbobulushi and Kantamanto. When that is done, then of course we can have some peace. And not now, after the construction work is going on, I don't think government has any plan in locating Kantamanto and Agbobulushi, but in the near future, something might be done about it. There's a need for us to get a new market center for this project. When you are building railway, you are also building a city as well. So we'll look at one day we'll have a shopping mall, very big, beautiful shopping mall at Kantamatu, very tall, that can take so many people. And then also in Agbogbloshie, if it's a food market, there's a modern way of building a food market. It can be a story building with the shops and then a whole lot of modern way, not what you see here. People have turned the place to be their residential area, and it's very bad. I saw people having their mats and mattresses in the drain. In the modern world, people are still sleeping in the drain. It's not the best.
Now, away from business, an Accra High Court, presided over by Justice Kofi Dogu, has adjourned hearing of an application by lawyers of embattled Chief Executive Officer of the Obinfo Hospital, Dominic Obing Ando, currently in police custody for the murder of the Deputy Director of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program, Stacey Ofe Dakun, to June 21. This is to allow the Attorney General's Department to respond to the application. Lawyer for the Obinfo CEO, Jonathan Jaisu, could not move his application because the AG's department was only served with a notice for hearing Thursday morning at about 8:30 a.m. Now, that was just a news in. For that, that's all. Now we move over to do some sports with Nana Kojo Afre.
Sports news segment is brought to you by Cowbell.
Welcome back to Midday Live here. My name is Anako Jafre with a sports update. Let's get into the details. And government has released a statement to confirm a 5-member interim management committee to oversee football administration in the midst of the injunction placed on activities by an Accra High Court. Michael Otieje explains what this means.
So we have a clear idea of what government intends to do with the administration of football. It's named a 5-man team to oversee its administration. The 5-man team comprises of 2 gentlemen with immense experience as football players and administrators. Reverend Osei Kofi and Abedi Pele have immense caps between them. As ex-Ghana internationals, they represent the football playing side of that committee. Ivochi, a journalist you used to see a lot here on TV3 during major tournaments. She is as well a lawyer and worked on a number of committees under the previous Kwesi Nyantakyi administration. Dr. Kofi Amua was president of the local organizing committee of the 2008 Nations Cup, a very successful businessman, mostly in the financial sector. He will bring a good level of experience to bear on this, but also the administrative acumen required. And Kujo Fianu will have the interest of clubs at heart. He is chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association. Now, the government statement from the Ministry of Information said that government will continue to engage FIFA and the Confederation of African Football to seek a way forward. It is not clear what this effectively means. Remember, FIFA frowns on government directly appointing executives of any football association. Government is confident it can get FIFA to understand its situation. The mantra is that it is Ghana first and FIFA second. In all previous experiences, though, that has not washed with the World Football Governing Body. The government hopes this 5-man team will be able to pull it forward. The man who will be speaking on their behalf is Dan Kwekuyebo of Peace FM, a fierce critic under the Nyantakyi administration. He will have to be defending the decisions and the actions of the interim management committee.
And that's all the sports here. My name is Anako Jafre. Thanks very much for watching. Always a pleasure serving. But remember, as the World Cup kicks off, your best place for all the analysis and the update is here on TV3. Good afternoon.
Welcome back to Midday Live, and now to some international news where Google has announced it is to open its first African Artificial Intelligence Research Center in Ghana later this year. Google boss Sundar Pichai said the multinational was really looking forward to opening the center. The center will open later this year in Accra, the company said in an official statement. The Accra office will join similar AI research centers in places like Paris, Tel Aviv, and of course, San Francisco. And now to South Africa, where 2 people have been stabbed to death in a brutal attack on a South African mosque where worshippers were preparing to pray. The attacker, who was armed with a big Rambo knife, struck as people gathered in Malmesbury Mosque north of Cape Town at about 0300 local time this morning. Police sources say the attacker, a foreign national in his 30s, was not in a hurry. He was very calm. However, when the police arrived on the scene, he refused to hand over his weapon. He was shot and killed in the process. South Africa's Muslim Judicial Council said in a statement it was shocked to its core to learn of the brutal attack, explaining the 2 victims had been observing a Muslim before they were killed. The council said another man was injured. And up next is some entertainment news. It takes willpower, passion and resilience for females to make a mark in male-dominated professions. A 21-year-old UK-based Ghanaian music producer and director Sila Owusu is making inroads into the music video market. What spurs her on? She is young, strong-willed and passion-driven. Born in the UK 21 years ago, Sila Owusu made her first attempt at producing and directing a music video at age 18.
From working with other directors, I eventually realized that I also am very creative and I also want to direct, as I believe I can bring something different to the table, and which is what I'm currently doing now.
The rising star has spent the last 2 years injecting creativity into her works and seizing the opportunity to shine.
My motivation being is that, well, first of all, I really enjoy what I do, number one. And number two, I don't see a lot of women. Since I started, I realized that a lot of people would message me and would say, oh, I'm so inspired, how did you start? I'm motivated to do X, Y, Z. So it kind of feels like people are counting on me, and it's nice to know that people can look at me and see the representation that they would like to see.
She was 14, I was 15. Me and Habibi had some big dreams, but we got lost up in the city. Oh, do you think about me?
Sila has produced amazing videos for acclaimed musicians including Fuse ODG, Nigeria's YC, Mr. Easy, and one of the East Africa's biggest music exports, Diamond Platinums.
She makes me say hallelujah.
I just want to see myself creating more work. It's not necessarily about being famous or working with the biggest artists. It's just about creating the best work. With me, I would like to call myself someone that's very organized. So usually what I do is whenever I'm directing and producing, depending on the size of the shoot, I would have a production manager. But I would have already sorted everything out to make the production manager's job easier.
She directed the music video for Bisakede's song Fache. Her other projects include 640 by Kwalkesi and Wame by Stonebwoy featuring Casper Newbies.
And through my work, I just like to listen to the actual song, try and create a concept that situates around that song, but not be typical. So just try and be a bit different, get to know the artist a bit more as well, because even though it's their song and it's your vision, sometimes it's nice to still incorporate things that they would feel comfortable doing. And yeah, just overall, I would just like to say that my work is very clean, and I think clean is always best. So that's probably what makes my work unique towards others.
The self-inspired director looks forward to working with some of Ghana's top music stars. The director wants women to brave the elements and dare to be the best regardless of their fields of endeavor.
Talk less and do more, and eventually people will respect you.
Definitely someone to look up to there, Sila Ponso. Now, another news just in this afternoon, the Ghana Medical Association has challenged government to improve emergency care as a way of solving the no-bed syndrome. In a statement that seemed like a response to the directive that no government health institution should turn away patients over no bed. Now, the GMA says the problem is a constellation of both largely systemic and in some cases individual factors. The association is calling on the Ministry of Health to implement the Accident Emergency Service Guidelines of 2011. The statement, while the frontlines workers may be culpable in some situations, a lot of the problems that bedevil the ER care are systematic. The GMA says it wished the joint committee set up to investigate this matter will unravel the circumstance that resulted in the death of this 70-year-old man and subsequently lead institutionalization of measures that will lead to improvement of emergency care. And that's how we wrap up Midday Live this afternoon. We've been live on DSTV channel 279, interactive on our various social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. My name is Solis Rose Quarty. Good afternoon.